Look, it is late on a Friday, and I need your help before we start today's show. We're going to talk about Jonathan Kuminga, but before we start, the boss has said before I leave this week for this weekend, we got to get 400 likes on this video. So help me out. Don't get me yelled at, and go down below and like today's show so we can get to 400 and show the bosses that this channel rules. What's going on, Dub Nation? You're watching Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Tyler Smith. And on today's show, a new report about Jonathan Kuminga. Yes, I know it's getting a little bit tired right now, but more and more stuff keeps coming out. And I'm going to bring you guys the latest on the Warriors' biggest domino to fall this offseason, and that is the impending restricted free agency of Jonathan Kuminga. The Warriors are going to extend the qualifying offer of $7.9 million, making him a restricted free agent. He's able to go out there and sign offer sheets, but the Warriors can match anything that he ends up going out and signing. So with that being said, how does it look for Jonathan Kuminga's future at this point? Well, according to NBA insider Brett Siegel, apparently Jonathan Kuminga return to the Warriors has gained some momentum over the past few days, sources said. Kuminga has been taking this offseason training camp seriously and is seeking a much larger role next season wherever he is. The Warriors, however, will still explore sign and trade options as well. Now, look, it's not exactly easy to pinpoint what's going to happen with Jonathan Kuminga this offseason. It's a very complicated situation. Now, I was listening to the Warriors Plus Minus podcast a little bit today, and Tim Kawakami was on there, and he said, as kind of contradictory, that there's a 55% chance that Kuminga does not return. Now, he was saying his comrades Anthony Slater and Marcus Thompson of The Athletic, they didn't feel that same way, but Tim Kawakami is leaning more towards a Kuminga sign and trade actually going down this offseason. Now, on the flip side, Anthony Slater, he's kind of a Kuminga supporter in a way, and he said he's been around Kuminga this offseason in the gyms with him, looking at his offseason work, and he says he looks really, really good right now. He looks excellent this offseason. Now, he also kind of tampered expectations a little bit and said that Kuminga is not necessarily working on back cutting or pin downs and all the technical stuff that he would need to really fit into the Warriors offense, but he was saying in the 3-on-3s and in the open gym work, he was looking really, really solid, doing the things that Jonathan Kuminga wants to do. And that, will kind of transition us to, well, maybe the Warriors will want to bring him back this offseason. We know that Joe Lacob wants to bring him back. Here's what he had to say about Kuminga's free agency. He said it would take a lot for me not to match, for us not to match. But again, we have to look at what makes our team best, and that's really up to Mike Dunleavy to make those decisions and to recommend to ownership what to do. It's going to play out pretty soon. You won't have to wait much longer. And look, my hope in this whole situation is hopefully Joe Lacob lets Mike Dunleavy do his job. Hopefully he's not all talk there, because the first sentence of that quote was, well, it's going to take a lot for me not to match. Well, yes, it is Joe Lacob's money, but he does not need to be in the basketball decision-making process. Leave that up to Mike Dunleavy, who went out there and took the big swing for Jimmy Butler, and that has paid off. So he's got to be making these decisions moving forward. And honestly, when it comes to making a trade, spoiler alert, trades are super difficult. Not only are they difficult across the entire NBA right now, but Jonathan Kuminga specifically is not easy to find a trade, that works for everybody. One, you have to find a team that wants Jonathan Kuminga. Two, you have to find a team that wants to pay Jonathan Kuminga. And three, you have to find a team that has the assets that make sense for a Jonathan Kuminga trade. Because remember, Golden State can only take back 50% of the salary that he'll be making in the first year of his new deal. So whatever the new team signs and trades him for, that half of that salary is going back to Golden State in a trade. So they can only get, technically half the monetary value of whatever Jonathan Kuminga goes out there and gets on the open market. Now, there is some teams that have some reported interest in Kuminga at this point. We know the Miami Heat are sort of linked, but Kuminga's seen as more of a fallback option for them if they cannot get a Kevin Durant trade done. And it looks like they're the closest team to getting that KD trade done at this point. So that could honestly shrink the JK market even smaller. And then we'll only have a team maybe like the Chicago Bulls that might be interested. They don't really have a lot of direction going on right now, and I think they have a lot of players on these kind of mid-level contracts that would make sense for a Jonathan Kuminga trade. And one of those players is Coby White. Tim Kawakami mentioned on the pod that a return for Jonathan Kuminga back in a sign and trade would be a Coby White level player who is a young, I would say ascending player in this league who can do a lot of things that the Warriors need on the basketball court. He can, hit a catch and shoot jumper. He can also score off of the bounce. And in these isolation situations when Golden State has a Steph or a Jimmy off of the bench, he would be the perfect sixth man on this Warriors team, and he would buy in to the role that he would play, unlike Kuminga to this point. Now, he makes $12.8 million. The Bulls would have to give him about $25 million a year in order to get that deal done. I would be all in on going out there and getting a Coby White type of player, but it doesn't seem like there are many other avenues outside of White specifically that the Warriors are going to be able to travel down. So that's definitely the name that I'm keeping my eyes on. But, if you can't make that deal, then there aren't a whole heck of a lot of options out there, and even options that I would be super keen on taking because there's not a lot of $10 million players that are going to move the needle for the Warriors in a sign and trade with Kuminga. But with that being said, what do you guys think? Would you trade Jonathan Kuminga for Coby White? Yes or no? Let me know in the comment section what you guys think if you would give up JK to bring number 0 from Chicago over to the Bay Area. And while you're down there in the comment section, get hooked up with this awesome deal that I've been telling you guys about with our friends over at Fanatics. This link right here, chatsports.com/Curry City. You're never going to find a Steph Curry jersey for half off. Yeah, 50% off the top. You're never going to find that. And you're going to find it now at this link right here. The deal's not going to last for too long, though. This is last year's City jersey. Eventually, it's going to come off the market. So you got to strike while the iron's hot. This link right here, chatsports.com/Curry City, 50% off Curry jerseys. I'll put that link in the comment section and description of today's video to make it easy for you guys. Go get yourself a Steph Curry jersey for the low today. All right, let's get back to Kuminga here and the assumption that he's going to return to Golden State this offseason because it's going to be very difficult. And Slater was talking on the Warriors Plus Minus podcast about how difficult it's going to be to make a Jonathan Kuminga trade. And he kind of just said, like, the financial restraints and the idea of them probably not finding a good trade partner and good value back for Kuminga this offseason is going to lead them to end up re-signing Jonathan Kuminga. And the contract projection that they ended up putting out there was 4 years for $100 million. And Marcus Thompson kind of just threw that out there as a flyaway number, a 3+1 with a player option. Because Kuminga is only 22 years old right now. You want to give him the opportunity to play above the means of the contract and then after 3 years decline and go get more money in free agency. So I understand the thought process there. Bobby Marks of ESPN had a shorter term deal, 3 for 81, with a player option after 2 years. And if they do end up bringing him back, Steve Kerr said this about Kuminga's future. He said, if JK comes back, we will for sure spend the early part of the season playing him with Jimmy and Draymond. To me, that would be a no-brainer. We didn't have that luxury this year. We basically have been in the playoffs since the minute we got Jimmy, and that was also when JK got hurt. So they didn't have the proper time to acclimate Kuminga next to Butler in the lineup. But what we know is Jimmy Butler, the Warriors that they had, in that stretch after the trade deadline was the best version of themselves. And if they end up re-signing Kuminga, Steve Kerr will not have much of a choice. He will not. If Kuminga gets $25+ million of free agency this offseason, then you can't just DNP him. That's not how the league works. It's not how ownership will, fly. Like the Joe Lacob's not going to like if Steve Kerr gives Kuminga a lesser role or isn't, playing him with the superstars and stuff like that if he's paid that type of dollar, because then you're just wasting his money at that point. So Steve Kerr won't have much of a choice to play Kuminga with Curry, Draymond, and Jimmy if Kuminga gets paid, because at the end of the day, you got to play the players that you pay. So if he comes back, he's going to be a featured player in the Golden State lineup for better or for worse. And honestly, I have legitimate concerns about that because I am concerned over Jonathan Kuminga's willingness to buy in, to be a complimentary piece. Remember what Kerr said a while ago about how he can't play Kuminga 38 minutes next to Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond? Well, he kind of walked back that statement and said that if JK comes back, we got to do it. But I don't know how great that's going to be for Golden State long term. Is Kuminga going to buy in to being a guy who's darting down on back cuts and coming down on pin down screens and helping get Steph open, helping Steph get his, and helping even Jimmy get his? That doesn't seem like Kuminga's MO right now. All the things that he's working on in the open gym this offseason, it's me work, it's bag work, it's isolation stuff. It's things that he wants to elevate in his game in order to reach the all-star level of player that he thinks that he can be. It's not this complimentary Aaron Gordon level of piece, Shawn Marion complimentary type of piece that Steve Kerr wants him to be. That's not what Jonathan Kuminga wants to be at this point. So why do they even want to continue this relationship at all? I'd rather him try to be a complimentary piece than a ball-dominant one, but I don't think that that's all that realistic right now. Now, however, if he does come back, that doesn't mean he's going to be a part of the long-term solution for Golden State. Remember what Monty Poole said when he was on the Dubs Talk Live podcast? He said doesn't mean he's going to be a long-term answer. They just have him, just move him later, because what seems pretty clear in talking to people is that even people who are, I guess you could say, JK backers within the Warriors don't see him as a guy that's going to lead him to championships. And look, man, this is where it all kind of comes into one. Stephen Curry Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green are all on borrowed time. They have limited time left in their NBA careers and limited time left to contend for an NBA title. If you just re-sign Jonathan Kuminga to trade him later on, then you're doing those guys an absolute disservice. I don't need next season to be littered, at least the first half of the season, to be littered with dysfunction and is his role big enough? Jonathan Kuminga unhappy with the minutes that he's playing, like Steve Kerr and Kuminga butting heads. Maybe those guys maybe he is getting the minutes that he wants, and Warriors aren't winning games. The offense doesn't look very fluid. Like, then the trade rumors start. Like, then you're like, oh, well, where's Kuminga going to go? They're probably going to ship him off this trade deadline because he doesn't seem to work, and the Warriors want to get better and contend for a title. Get that done this offseason instead, so you have the team that you start off with in October be the team that you have in April gunning for an NBA championship. Because if the Warriors had the team that they had to start the NBA playoffs back in October, guess what? They would have won like 55 goddamn games, and they would have been at the top of the Western Conference, probably in the West Finals, playing the OKC Thunder. And who knows what would have happened as they're going to Game 7 of the Finals against the Pacers. Well, let me know what you guys think, though. What happens with Jonathan Kuminga? Does he get traded? Do the Warriors keep him? Nobody really knows at this point. I don't even know if I have an answer for you. If I had to put my chips on one right now, I'm putting my chips on the K for keep, and I'm not exactly all that happy about it. You let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. That will do it for today's edition of Warriors Today by Chat Sports. Any new information that comes out about Kuminga, you know we're going to bring you that here on the channel, and when he does resign, we will bring you that as well. So lock us in, hit that sub button, turn notifications on as well so you know when we post here on the channel. See you guys all in the next one, and as always, let's go Dubs.